improvisation is a saying, like you're a person walking backwards. You don't know where you're going. You just know where you've been. Because improv helps you get comfortable in the unknown, because you're constantly stepping forward into the unknown, because we don't know what we're going to do or say next in front of a live paying audience. So in a way, life is improvised. There's no script between you and I right now. We're doing it moment to moment to moment. So improv teaches you how to do and how to play that in your social intelligence better. And you get to get comfortable living in ambiguity and not knowing, because that's what you're doing in improv all the time. So it's an active form of mindfulness. It teaches you to be really, really present here and now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ways to Wealth. Today I'm joined by Wade. Wade, why don't you give us the too long didn't read about who you are and what got you here?
I'm Wade Jenks. I'm a high performance coach. My background is in improvised comedy.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, that's cool. I love the pod because I get to talk to interesting people with different backgrounds, and then I get to learn a lot. But yeah, improvised comedy. I don't know if you watch it. I'm quite a big fan of Kill Tony. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen Kill Tony. No.
Kill Tony is like X Factor, stand up, and a live band and live podcast had a baby.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's basically up and coming or amateur stand-up comedians. They give them a minute.
Yeah.
And then you've got 4 high-profile comedians that are always talking, and then they interview them after. And the interviews actually often are more interesting. But yeah, I've co-obsessed with that show, that podcast. It's on YouTube. Really, really cool. And they've done a few stadiums now as well, like Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow.
In a Bat Studio too. I think they've got a Netflix special coming. If it's okay, well, what came first then, the high performance or the
improv comedy?
Yeah.
So I decided at the age of 20 that I wasn't going to do what all my peers were doing. That was, first university, getting a job. So I decided that I was going to sacrifice security for freedom.
Nice. Yeah, like that.
So I decided to become a full-time anti-comedian in New Zealand. So
okay,
I like to say that I consciously chose to be poor, because most full-time actors are unemployed and gambling. So
totally, yeah, not the easiest market.
No. So I started doing the improvised comedy. It just so happens the skills that I spent the last 30 years learning are the skills that businesses and senior leaders and executives will want to pay to live.
Right. So you spent 20 odd years doing that.
I spent over 30 years doing that. I was kind of, I still do it. Yeah. Okay. I do it. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I founded the Covert Theatre up in Ponsonby.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. With charitable trust.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you started it was like skewed to like in your early days, like how did you start training and getting?
So I was doing at university, I was doing stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, improvised comedy. Then I went over to a festival in 1999, Austin, Texas, and we got asked to audition for the TV show Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Okay.
And then when I was in LA, I got to audition for Jim Carrey filming Myself and Irene, and I just decided I was going to focus on the improv comedy when I got back. So I stopped doing stand-up pretty much, stopped doing sketch comedy, and really just focused on the improvised comedy.
And what is the difference between improvised comedy and stand-up?
So stand-up comedy is a solo pursuit, first round jokes and that, whereas improvised comedy is ensemble. So there's no script. You're walking out on stage, not knowing what you're going to do or say next, and you get suggestions from the audience, and then you take those ideas and you create stories and sagas or songs. So you can do anything from like short improv games through to, at the theatre we do, like this. Tomorrow night I'm performing in a Bard's Tower. It's an improvised Shakespeare play. So we make up a play in the style of Shakespeare.
Right.
For 60 minutes.
That's not. Okay. And then...
It's more actor-based than, say, comedian-based.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's a team of you that typically do it?
Yeah, so the theatre, so tomorrow night there's 5 of us performing in that show, but in the theatre we have about over 80 members of the theatre.
Right. And you don't practice beforehand?
You practice, you rehearse, you do all your work before you get on stage. So there's storytelling skills, there's spontaneity skills, all those types of things. So a lot of training involved, but when you walk out on stage, there's no script.
No. Okay.
But the content is improvised, but there's a structure. So like for a Shakespeare one, we choose an audience member, they're the queen, they choose who the villain's going to be out of the cast.
Yeah.
We get the audience to give us a setting that was relevant to a Shakespeare play. Here we go from there. I'll kind of make everything up on the spot for 60 minutes. Yeah.
So you're going to spend a long time doing this and you consciously chose to be poor. And then you realised at what point that there was a clear crossover for business owners and leaders.
Yes. So the leaders would love the show. So we do conferences and things like that. So we go and do their Christmas party or conference. Yeah. They go, we love the show. And the question I was asked by a number of them was, how do I get my people working together like that? Right. So the skills you've got when you do improvise is being able to sacrifice your ego for the sake of the group. It's a real team sport.
Right.
You've got confidence, you've got creativity, you've got storytelling, communication, all these wonderful skills, resilience, because it doesn't always work. And so I started doing team building workshops, presentation coaching based on my stage experience.
Yeah.
And then they were like, this is great, this is fantastic. How is this working? Why is this working? I was like, I don't know, it just does. It's what we do. So then I started I had to go back to school and get I did some postgrad study in health science, my body health. Yeah. So I could explain what was happening at a neurological, psychological, biochemical level.
Yeah.
And so kind of combine the art and the science. So now I run team building workshops. I do storytelling, resilience, leadership training, all underpinned by Western science, but I use a lot of the improv as the vehicle for adult education.
Right. Okay. And is there is there a typical archetype of business that kind of resonates with it? And like, is it sales focused often or?
I work with a lot of senior leaders, senior leadership teams. So it's like storytelling, for example. How if you're the CEO or senior leader of an organization, how do you bring your purpose and your vision, your values and your strategy to life? Well, you bring them through the power of story. And so I help them craft their stories. I teach them a methodology that they can bring presentations to life and so forth. Using that framework.
Cool. And when did you start making that?
That was started doing that in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Really?
And then
Wow.
Yeah, then I wrote a book called Job Challenge. It was a program, and that was used.
But let's just talk about.
Oh right, yeah. So I worked with a teacher back in 2013.
Okay.
Jules and Nathan did it.
Yeah.
And that got picked up by. It was endorsed by Stephen Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the biggest selling business book of all time. His son David became my global distributor, so he licensed that program internationally. So it was in places like it was used in the Singapore military armed forces. It was licensed to other countries as well. And so that became like a global business, licensing business for me.
Wow.
And that's still going. No, so in 2016, I brought my business partner out, and I had my kind of my midlife breakthrough. My day arraignment.
Nice.
I didn't want a global business. I was missing being on stage. I kind of ended up owning my own desk job. I'd fly around the world training other performers, other trainers rather, but I wanted to be on stage more. And so I kind of figured out, how did I end up owning my own desk job rather than being out in front of people? So I went up a business partner. A lot of the international stuff closed down, and I really just focused locally. And then I looked for a venue to open another improv theatre.
Right, and that's the one in Ponsonby.
It's on in Ponsonby now. Yeah, so it's the second one. I did one early from 2001 to 2005. The Covert Theatre was in K Road.
Right.
But I did that as the poor starving actor, and sold the lease on that. My neighbour, the rock shop, came and said, don't sign the lease. We'll pay you to leave. So I make the joke, I'm the only person who made money out of theatre that was by selling it. So and I always knew one day I'd return when I wasn't the poor starving actor. So became successful with the work in the corporate world, and then took all of that profit and put it back into the new charitable trust. So opened up a new theatre. So we signed the lease in Ponsonby in 2019, 1st September, and we were meant to open in March 2020, but of course the whole world shut down. Yeah, the pandemic. So I couldn't put the timing worse.
Yeah, it's often the way.
Yeah.
But he's already good at that.
Well, I launched Job Challenge, the training program during the GFC. So I'm 2 for 2 now.
Yeah. We're all tell me when you're going to start.
Exactly. Is there one? Yeah.
I'd be interested. Okay, so what did you do in that period when you were, obviously it was a physical based thing? Did you improvise and do anything else, or did you just say, and it sounded like a trial?
Was a theatre? Yeah. So when I remember the architect telling me that we're not going to make it, that the world was shutting down, we were going to shut down. I think I did like big chest and shoulder sobs for heaving sobs for about 10 minutes, which is very cathartic, all the pressure. And then I just realized, in improv we have a saying, don't act in the scene you want to be in, act in the scene you're in.
Right.
Yeah. So rather than going like, I just realized, yep, it's out of my control. There's nothing I can do. Whatever happens, happens. If my idea was just too big at the time and the timing was wrong, so be it. But we've managed to survive. It hasn't been easy, but had to hustle. But it's been 4 years now.
Yeah.
Doors still open. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were just like, out of my control. We'll open as soon as we.
Well, we couldn't finish the build until we didn't open until June 2020, and then of course in the first 2 years we were shut down for over a year.
Yeah.
And so it's a great lesson as far as perseverance, creative thinking, how to make that place survive, because there's no way it should survive. We're a small charitable trust.
Yeah.
The fit out of the theatre was like $750K.
Wow.
And then zero income for 2 years basically. So yeah,
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations, Spur. So thank you. Yeah. Okay. And then So what kind of is your split then in terms of focus between the theatre and then the I guess the stuff that kind of keeps you fed?
Yeah, there's one that costs you money, there's one that pays you money. Yeah. It's probably closer to 50-50 now.
Yeah.
And I just found like, I went from doing full-time theatre, and then over time it was almost like full-time or corporate facilitator, speaker, and we're doing about 5% theatre. So I have a much healthier balance now. I love them both, but they're very different as far as the audiences that I'm dealing with.
And I guess you've designed everything really with that second piece in mind, or the theatre in mind. It seems like that was your.
Well, it all came out of it all came out. It's all improv based. I just have a lot more kind of science behind me now.
No, I also mean like in terms of you were kind of designing your life to be on the stage more once you decided that you didn't want a desk job.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's been, I guess, a continuous process of optimizing that and kind of, I guess, achieving your vision of a space.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I love even when I'm doing the corporate stuff, I'm kind of if I'm on a stage speaking, doing a keynote rehearsal, that's still a type of performance.
Yeah, okay.
For me. So that's
Still great.
I still love that. Yeah.
So do you find that you get, because like I have to do a lot of that sort of stuff as a part of my job. And I guess the podcast too, but to a lesser degree, because I feel like there's more like conversations. But I mean, I'm relatively introverted, so if I do too many, I don't feel necessarily filled up. Like, do you get filled up from being on stage?
No, I'm an introvert.
Okay, so
Yeah, I grew up incredibly shy. Right. So shy and introverted. So I get my energy from being alone. I'll get all the planning and stuff like that. I just love.
okay, so it's the prep that really kind of
Bringing ideas to life. Bringing ideas to life is what that fills me. And just being creative, I guess, to kind of, that kind of creative expression, doing something new, doing something different.
Yeah.
And freedom is one of my top values. So
Yeah.
I've never had a job. I've never worked for somebody else. Basically now I'm unemployable.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm the same. Very much unemployable. I'd imagine. Okay, cool. So I guess like what? I guess for both sides, what is the ideal outcome in 5 years for the corporate side, and then the same for the theatre? Because I guess they have different objectives.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm almost going for when I first started doing this in the corporate world 25 years ago. So I started just doing improv.
Yeah.
And then I've taken the improv and I've put into, deliver it in the guise of leadership and resilience and creativity, collaboration, storytelling, communication, those types of things. But I'm almost going full circle now. I now have an executive leadership program that is purely improv.
Right.
And so it's almost full circle. I don't have to dress it up as any kind of, leadership or any other kind of corporate buzzword. We need resilience, we need creativity, whatever it may be.
Is that because of the personal brand you feel?
A bit of that, but also just because, improv has now had a big tick just because of the science that's been done around it. So if you do your MBA at Boston University, the first 6 weeks you do will be improv. You do it at Stanford Design School. They have an improv teacher there full time on staff. So it's just used. It's been proven in business that it's the number one collaborative art form. It's immediately accessible. So the skills that you have now, you could take straight into your work, but enhanced with some improv training. So it is more recognized now, whereas 25 years ago, it would have been an unusual concept to be doing improvised comedy training,
right,
as to develop you as a leader.
Okay, and you are talking about the concept of improvised comedy as a training form rather than just elements of life where you're improvising.
Yeah, true. Yeah, correct. So it's not. I don't go into the corporates of teaching to become performers per se, but the training exercises that we do that allow us to walk on stage and do an improv comedy show are just life skills.
Yeah.
That they'll just benefit anybody and everybody.
Because I like a book called uh, Thinking in Bets, which Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke.
Right.
It's basically how to disassociate actually decisions from outcomes. So making a decision without complete information, which you could say to some degree is improvisation. And then, yeah, you have an outcome, but that outcome is actually irrelevant potentially because you didn't have all the information. You may not have controlled the outcome. It's just a little bit like how a audience may resonate with your improv.
Yeah, well, improvisation is a saying, like you're a person walking backwards. You don't know where you're going. You just know where you've been.
Yeah.
Because improv helps you get comfortable in the unknown. Because you're constantly stepping forward into the unknown. Because we don't know what we're going to do or say next.
Yeah.
In front of a live paying audience. So in a way, life is improvised. There's no script between you and I right now. We're doing it moment to moment to moment. So improv teaches you how to do and how to play that in your social intelligence better. And you get to get comfortable living in ambiguity and not knowing, because that's what you're doing in improv all the time. So it's an active form of mindfulness. It teaches you to be really, really present here and now.
Yeah. So what would, like, 5 years from now, what would you like that to look like?
I'm kind of living the dream now.
Okay.
Like I get to do my corporate work and the educational piece that feeds my desire to help people. My whole purpose is to inspire meaningful happiness.
Yeah.
So I get to help people through that, and I also get to jump on stage and act like a fool and improvise and that kind of stuff too. And our purpose at the theatre is to enhance human connection through play. So we do school holiday programs, after school programs. We're doing shows for young kids. We do improv for autistic teens. They come in, we sponsor a school, and they come in and do that. So we do the show. So there's a whole improv school in there as well. We do the Office Comedy Clash. We do an 8-week boot camp inside a business. They learn improv, then they come and perform against each other. So we have like Kiwi Bang versus BNZ versus Gilles Energy. Yeah, so that's really cool. So I get to take improv out into all these different areas. We've just developed a youth resilience program that we're putting online for 8 to 12-year-olds. So it's a combination of my corporate work and the improv mixing as well. So, and all of that is done under the charitable trust. So I just decided that, I could have, when I made a lot of money in the corporate world, I could have paid up my mortgage, all that kind of stuff. But my wife very kindly allowed me to bankroll the theatre as a charitable trust. So it outlets me. Because I just find there's this concept we don't really talk about enough, which is enough. Like we have enough. We're comfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't, this is it's not even legacy stuff. It's just how do we help people more? And so I don't know how long. I'm in my 50s now. I have no idea how much longer I have to live. My whole thing is how can I serve and help people? I think I've just had 4 bereavements, close bereavements in the last couple of months, and you don't know how long you've got. So how do you make a positive impact while you still can? So yeah, and improv is all about living in the now. So that's what I'm really focused on doing now.
So that's quite interesting. So you have been quite intentional then with the structuring of the organization. And I guess if you were hit by a bus tomorrow, you are confident it will survive. It'd survive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the plan. I'm still very involved in it, but the plan is to make myself irrelevant.
Yeah. To impact
Future generations. Yeah.
In quite a human way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that I guess I see as a pretty big hole in New Zealand at the moment. There's a lot to be desired for when it comes to succession and that kind of living on piece. Like even if I look at, one of the bellwethers of New Zealand kind of culture would be that farming sector, and how many farms and farming families are ultimately losing those assets because they don't have good success.
Well, it's interesting. One of my clients at the moment, it's developing. It's for the building and construction industry.
Yeah.
And it's because you've got people who have, their identity is wrapped up in what they do. So they're builders, and they get to the end, they're coming to the end of their, either the body can't hack it or is outbound to retire, and they don't know where to go. So one of my program I've designed for that industry is around, how do you find your purpose? How do you know what your values are? How do you contribute in a meaningful way post different life? So
that's definitely there's an element of that in that book that I mentioned, because we and people that she was kind of talking about as well. She was a professional post player. That's kind of where the training came from, and now she obviously consults and does, I guess, similar work to you, but from the context of decision and outcomes, and then analyzing that, I guess, in the venture capital spaces and other places like that. They're kind of is relatively similar to poker,
right.
But it's that whole identity piece of, I'm going after this pursuit, don't get the outcome I necessarily wanted. Like maybe I would build it and now my body's starting to not work great. My hips and my back are just killing me all the time. And now, but what do I do? Because I am that. So you're helping people kind of unravel what they do from being what they are.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Just realizing, your identity is not your occupation. Yeah, it's much more than that. So, so it requires some introspection, reflection for you to kind of just get off the busy hamster wheel of life, to stop and look with it, and that's where the answers are.
And with the kind of youth programs, do you think it's like an intervention if you can get someone early, they don't take life too seriously, they don't get I guess woven into that trap? Or
I think there's two things there. I think the earlier you can help give children the life skills, there's a saying, right? It's harder to fix a broken adult than mold a young child,
right?
And also, but even for adults, that whole idea of take what you do seriously, you just don't take yourself seriously.
Right.
Yeah. So I love what I do, but I just don't take myself too seriously with it. And because you got to hold life like it, right? We're all going to die. Yeah. We're all, Shakespeare said in Hamlet, we're going to shuffle off this mortal coil. There is no, I love that saying, there is no luggage rack on the hearse, right? You're taking none of it with you. So how do you make a more positive impact while you're still drawing breath? So that's really what motivates me. There's an age and stage. Someone who's 20, 21 would start their own business. That's probably not going to resonate as much. I have a martial art background. I train in Shotokan karate in Japan, and then Koryu Kenpo. So Okinawan Kenpo. So I wouldn't, you don't talk philosophy with an 18-year-old, just like you don't get an 88-year-old to do 100 push-ups on their knuckles, So there's an age and stage of where things will resonate with people. But the earlier you can help people realize that just having a whole lot of money, yes, can bring you comfort and stuff, but that's not the purpose of life. It's just to have a whole bunch of money. It's just what you do with it. Money in itself isn't a value.
No,
it's what you spend your money on will show you what your values are.
It gives you an opportunity gives you choices.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's given me that choice where now I can donate a lot of my time into the charitable work, and that's a big part of my focus.
And then you get to jump out of bed every day. Yeah, you've designed something that works for you, and I think we all, especially in that early phase, you're kind of like, oh well, this is outcome. I guess we're kind of adding to the problem by saying, hey, what's 5 years look like? But we're always thinking about this desired state.
Yes.
Yeah. Rather than being present.
Yeah.
And like you say, there's lots of different activities you can do, improv being one of them, surfing, I train martial arts as well, jiu-jitsu.
All right.
Big into that. I typically train that most days, and it does help clear my mind and allow me to be a little bit more present in a pursuit that is quite not present. If you have a large vision, and as an investor or an entrepreneur, you're kind of living in the future, and it's addictive to live in that future state, because it's obviously where you want, kind of some version of where you want to be, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But it's every moment spent in that fictitious future is a moment that you won't have in the now, and you won't get it back.
Yeah.
And as an investor and entrepreneur, you're kind of constantly there. You actually may not live, and you may not realize what you're missing. That's something I'm kind of slowly coming to
Well, if you do jiu-jitsu, right? Like I make the joke, like in improv, it forces you to be in that present moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it makes you more present than someone trying to strangle you.
Exactly. So if you're not present in martial arts, it's a chokehold or a punch in the face or a takedown. So it's like, oh, there's your immediate feedback. Yeah. So it's the same thing. I just find improv is a lot more fun way of giving that feedback rather than a chokehold. Yeah. So
I mean, I like it. I think I like it because as well, unlike some other martial arts, is you can really go. With wrestling and jiu-jitsu and judo to a degree. Judo again, it's hard. It's hard on your body, but like with those sports, it's quite good because you can give it your all without getting brain damage.
what?
I mean, yes, you can break an arm. There are always injuries and devastating injuries sometimes too, but for the most part, like you're not going to lose your brain cells, at least with jiu-jitsu or wrestling and stuff. So beneficial, I would say, and that's kind of why I chose it. It's become very popular now, though, so it kind of makes me want to do that. No, what's it? I like doing early adopter. I've always found that I've been like early trainers. Right when they become like mainstream, I'm like, that's it. I like being contrary.
Right. Okay.
It's fine.
If everyone zigs, you like to zag. So,
Yeah.
I'm that way as well. If you try and put me in a box, I will break out a bit. Relax. So
Which is probably unnecessary. No, I love it though. It's a great way to get humble, great way to build resilience, and a great way to get out of that kind of fictitious future state.
I found the martial arts when I was because I was training when I was 18 over in Japan.
Yeah.
And then again when I was like 21, 22. I just found it was great for the ability for perseverance.
Yeah.
And that discipline. The training in Japan was definitely next level than training here in New Zealand. Right. And I just find I've had people kind of go, man, you have this hyper focus, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, I never had that when I was younger. It came from my martial art background.
Totally.
Yeah. And so being able to, having the theatre blow up in my face right at the start before we even opened, it was just kind of that perseverance is I'm just going to get us through this and navigate through this and I will not give up.
Yeah. And often it's not, it's those second, third actions after the initial the disappointment, right? Okay. This is where we are.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. It's the same thing improv, right? You said before, you act the scene that you're in, not the one you want to be in. So, I would like it not to have a global pandemic, but no one had this in their contingency plan. So this is the accepted reality. How do I move forward from here?
That's cool. So how do you work with the neurodivergent autistic kind of group then?
So so you don't
known from that.
So, oh man, it's such heartwarming work. So during the lockdowns, I was watching a show, Love on the Spectrum, I think it was called. It was like a dating show.
Yeah, I've heard about it more.
Yes, it was Australian teens who were neurodiverse, and they were going on dates and so forth. So you got to follow them.
Yeah.
And then and they had a relationship coach just coming in saying, oh, we teach them how to maintain eye contact and connect and all the stuff that they were saying they were doing. I was just watching going like, well, that's what we do in improv. Right. And so I was like, oh, that's what we do in improv. So, and I just looked online to see if there was any organization who was doing improv for autistic people. And there's a university in the States, and I contacted them and got their program, but it was pretty much what we were doing anyway.
Yeah.
And so we just did in conjunction with them, and we just contacted a couple of schools, and it's been running for a number of years now. It is so cool to do.
Yeah. And you run those?
I'm one of the facilitators. We have other facilitators, but I'm one of them as well.
Yeah.
And and you've just got like we had there's two I won't say the names. We had two boys on the program who were basically non-verbal for about a year and a bit. And in the last end of last year, they started talking and verbalizing and connecting. So it may have taken them like a year and a half to feel either that safe to do it or some kind of breakthrough, but it was just incredibly rewarding.
That work. That's cool. Yeah. So I guess what are some really nice ways that an individual outside of a facilitated kind of session could start to hone that improv skill, like potentially independently or maybe with someone close to them that's accessible that they, maybe part.
Well, I think one of the things is that we can get stuck in our thought patterns, emotional patterns, behavioral patterns. So one of the things with around the spontaneity of improv is to disrupt those patterns. So if and as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. So even just doing small things to disrupt your everyday patterns, can work your spontaneity. For example, put your watch onto the other hand. Sleep on the other side of the bed. Drive a different way to work. So how do you disrupt just your normal routine? Because we know that most of our behavior is based on our values, which are largely unconscious. So, the social psychologists call us, they'll have a phrase that we're cognitive misers. We're lazy with our thinking. We get stuck in patterns very, very, very quickly. And so ways to disrupt those patterns is a good way to remind you that how can you look at things with fresh eyes? That's quite cool. The Japanese say it's a shoshin, which means beginner's mind. So it's like, how do you take an enthusiasm and an eagerness to learning, like a beginner would, like you have had how long have you been doing jiu-jitsu for? 6 years. So remember when you first started, like how exciting and all this stuff you didn't know. How do you bring that attitude and that enthusiasm 6 years later?
Well, it's for me, and like it depends on how you're inclined, right? And I think when you're starting, I think it's good to actually be relatively adept and have a very specific goal in mind. But it's not playing your A game, right? It's basically like, okay, well, I'm really good here, and I can almost be here in my sleep, but I'm not going to play that. I'm going to lose to maybe someone that I may be fundamentally better than because I'm going to try this skill set.
So it's the week 1, day 1 of the Joel Challenge program. Yeah, it's what we call the growth cycle.
Yeah.
So you have a challenge, you have chaos, you have competence and play. But from the competence, you could fall out into complacency. Yeah. So he's like, I know my role with jiu-jitsu and the work or whatever it may be. I know this so well that you get complacent. Any health and safety practitioner will tell you that number one danger for injury on the workplace is complacency. So you learn something new, it's chaos as the next step. You got to get through time and repetition, practice, mentoring, coaching, education gets you to that competence level. Then you want to get into that kind of flow state, the play state. And even then, after a while, you can fall into complacency. You need a new challenge. And so this is the virtuous cycle going up. It's the complacency part we have to be wary of. That's when the black belt loses to the white belt.
Right.
So they become complacent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, nice. I like it. Well, thank you so much for being on the project. I really enjoyed it. Learned a lot. And comedy and improv is always fascinating me. Not that I'm interested in necessarily taking.
Come watch a show.
Yes, the viewing it sounds great. Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Visit.